Where are the Shirillas? I'm in Ohio, y'all in Ohio. I just want to have a conversation. Where are the Shirillas? And before we get into it, let me say, if you are a person who has a short attention span, this is not going to be the video for you if you have not learned to extend your attention span, because I'm going to be popping for a long time and I'm not going to wrap this up in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. I'm telling you that right now. So you can either hold 2 times speed, I might speed it up when I go to edit it, or you can skip it. Because I want to get into the lack of parental oversight, the lack of structure, the lack of discipline, the way that they made this little girl feel entitled, which further enabled her, which led to her claiming the lives of 2 innocent people. One she called a boyfriend and the other a friend. And I'm talking about from the beginning of the documentary until the end. Because we see where her parents take a very passive approach to parenting. Very hands-off. I don't care if my daughter smokes dope. I don't care if you smoke dope as long as she's not smoking crack. That's what we're using to justify her weed consumption, is the fact that she's not smoking crack or smoking meth, and that it could be worse drugs that she could be doing. That's where we don't care that our 17-year-olds is out here taking psilocybin mushrooms. We just don't, because it could be worse. When we think about him talking about, when my daughter would go get in trouble, I would go pick her up from the school, and I know when my kid is lying, I would ask her if she did it, and she would say no, and I would say, well, that's good enough for me, let's go. Y'all were rewarding her behavior with dismissiveness. But then y'all turn around and y'all say, well, she was a model daughter, she never got in trouble. That's incongruent with what you just said, and it's also incongruent and inconsistent with the accounts of the school, because the school has proof, documented proof, that your daughter was hell on legs in that motherfucker. That your daughter was bullying people, that your daughter was threatening violence, people with violence, that your daughter bucked authority and was insubordinate. What we seen later in the documentary, towards the end, Mackenzie's true character, that she was very much emotionally dysregulated. And when things didn't go her way, she had a tantrum. We seen examples and evidence of her sociopathy and her psychopathy. We seen that. Hi, I'm also a licensed professional clinical counselor that practices, and I'm also 60% through my clinical psychology doctoral program. No Cheyenne Bryant's over here. So we seen that there was a problem. In 2019 and 2020, there was a suicide attempt made by Mackenzie, but the police were called to their home, but the parents, and they tried to sweep it under the rug, but the parents sat in that documentary and said, Mackenzie loved herself way too much. She would never attempt suicide. Yes, she ever. Because she did. And y'all know she did. The way that they dismissed the deaths of Davion and Dom and dismissed the feelings of their families who are now left to pick up the pieces was disgusting to watch. They worked tirelessly, that whole documentary, to get the world to perceive Mackenzie the way that they perceived her through their rose-tinted glasses, as a princess that could do nothing wrong. We see Mackenzie for who she is, and that's a fucking murderer. The dad talking about, oh, well, there needs to be concrete evidence that my daughter did this on purpose. How much more concrete can the evidence get when it verifies the technology from the car that cannot be manipulated, verifies that your daughter was speeding at 97 miles per hour, accelerating at 100%, and she never once tried to brake. Even when she hit that sign, she didn't even try to brake or turn the car to at least let that baby flip over to save a life. No, your daughter was obsessed with her boyfriend. Your daughter didn't know how to accept rejection. She didn't know how to accept, no, she didn't know how to accept, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm done with this relationship. And she had, and she sent a message that if I can't have you, no one else will. And I'm willing to not only sacrifice my life, but the life of the homeboy in the backseat to make sure that we all die in this bitch. And your daughter doesn't feel guilty for killing her boyfriend and her friend. Not at all. She doesn't feel guilty about that. What she feels guilty about is the fact that she didn't die as well. And so now she has to face the consequences and suffer the consequences. And I'm going to tell you, the Russo family and the Flanagan family, I tip my hat to them, because in that courtroom, when that man said, we love you, kids, we know you're innocent, baby, when I tell you, that would have sent me into fucking oblivion. I would have been dragging the Shirillas from this side of Ohio to the fucking next, from northern Ohio to southern Ohio, eastern and western too. Me and Mackenzie would have been cellmates, baby. I can tell you that right now. I would have smiled in my fucking mugshots. Innocent. She's not innocent. And her friends talk about, oh, I was with her every day. She would never, she ever. What don't y'all understand about that? She did what she did on purpose. And I understand the cognitive dissonance. I understand how you could be with somebody and they can present one way to you and you not really know who they are to know who they are. I can understand it. Y'all motherfuckers got a high school relationship where y'all making TikToks all goddamn day. There are so many layers and nuances to personality and knowing people. Do you know that people that know Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy and Wayne, whatchamacallit, that was doing all that shit to kids in Indiana? Do you know John whatchamacallit from Wayne, Indiana? Let me get it right. I know. John, it started with a G, his last name. Him from Indiana. Do you know how many people said that they was stand-up citizens of society? How they never could imagine that it could be them that was out here being serial killers, and the whole time these motherfuckers is taking bodies and asking names later. So I understand the cognitive dissonance, but the facts are the facts. And her defense team did a shitty job. They were banking on the fact that the prosecution, who was out here working and doing what they needed to do, would not have enough evidence to prove that this girl had intentionally killed these 2 young boys. They did a shitty job. And that's who her parents need to be mad at. Because how does your daughter have POTS? And no medical professional is on the stand being cross-examined or examined? How does your daughter have POTS to this severity and she not have a service dog? How does your daughter have POTS to this severity and you not say, okay, baby, you're not going to be able to drive? That's negligence on its own. But no medical professional was called into court to establish that this girl had POTS. The defense did a shitty job. There's no medical record. It doesn't make sense. The math is not mathing. Concrete evidence. The evidence is there. Then they're going to turn around and say, well, we have ironclad evidence that the prosecution never even brought into court text messages to Christine Russo saying that Dominic was the one who was trying to grab the steering wheel and kill them 2 weeks prior. No, you have chopped and screwed text messages of evidence that was already presented in court from multiple cell phones. That's why your appeals keep getting denied. And I hope that Mackenzie is the only child, because I hope that they did not produce any more of these fucking gremlins and have them out here in society. I understand that Frank, or whatever his name is, was placed on some type of leave or let go or whatever. Good for him. After the premiere of the documentary, good for him. And for that mom to stand up there, Natalie, to stand up there and talk about her daughter in court, thank God that the judge asked the question that we all wanted the answer to. Does Davion being a good friend make his life less significant? Mackenzie Shirilla is a murderer. And she might as well let her attorney talk, because I wonder how many hours of rehearsal they had to get her prepared for her interview. Because she said, I don't recall this and that, third. And let me be very clear. Y'all know my credentials, so let me be very clear. Anterograde and retrograde amnesia is a real thing. I study TBIs and concussions, which are mild TBIs. I studied them. Those are real things. However, you will have fragments of your memory that do return to you after time. You will be able to remember either something right before or right after. You will. And this is on the severest. You'll be able to remember something. That little girl is not remorseful. The only reason why she feels guilt and shame is because she lived and she thought that she was going to evade consequences. She's a murderer, and we gotta call it for what it is.